The first non-cooperation movement, launched after the Nagpur Congress of 1920, was the beginning of a new era in India's struggle for freedom. These extracts from a foreign newsreel clearly establish that it generated a national consciousness, a mass upheaval never experienced before.
They haven't been given enough, and desire complete home rule right away, observe a half war day of mourning. All the shops are shut in some districts and no business is transacted. There are also processions, one formed by several thousand people, marches towards the suburb of Calcutta. They carry banners bearing slogans such as, "We want our own constitution."
To assess the impact of the movement, the Congress set up a civil disobedience inquiry committee under the chairmanship of Hakim Ajmal Khan, with eminent members like Motilal Nehru, C. Rajagopalachari, Dr. Ansari, Vittalbhai Patel, Kasturi Ranga Iyengar, and others. The committee stated that the non-violent non-cooperation movement had succeeded in creating a general awakening of the masses to their political rights and privileges. The people had faith in the Congress as the only organization which could direct a national effort to gain freedom. Although the non-cooperation movement had been called off, the spirit of nationalism was asserting itself. In Punjab, the Congress supported a non-violent Gurudwara movement. People of different faiths, Hindus and Muslims, joined the Sikh Jathas. When Jawaharlal Nehru, A.T. Gidwani and K. Santanam joined the movement at Jaito in Nabha, they were arrested. After nearly 5 years of struggle, the movement succeeded. Gandhiji said, "A decisive battle has been won." At the 1922 Gaya session of the Congress, disagreements over some broad principles surfaced. C.R. Das wanted to fight the government from within by entering the council. He had the support of Motilal Nehru. C. Rajagopalachari and others disagreed. Rajaji's resolution to support non-cooperation was approved. Chittaranjan Das resigned from the Congress presidentship and along with Motilal Nehru formed the Swarajya Party within the Congress. In June 1923, the Nagpur police banned a procession which was carrying the national flag. Jamnalal Bajaj organized a demonstration by over 2,000 volunteers to parade the flag in relays. Several volunteers, including Jamnalal Bajaj, were arrested. The Congress asked the country to observe the 18th of July 1923 as Flag Day. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was in command. In defiance of prohibitory orders, the flag satyagraha continued to be observed all over the country for several months. On the 15th of September 1923, government accepted the people's right to carry their flag. The Congress and the Swarajya Party arrived at a compromise on the question of council entry. 48 members of the Swarajya Party were elected to the Central Legislative Assembly. 24 independents under Jinnah's leadership joined the Swarajya members. The group was called the New Nationalist Party. Motilal Nehru was the leader of the Swarajya Party in the Assembly, with Satyamurthy as one of the secretaries. Mr. Rangacharya's motion on constitutional advance came up for discussion. Motilal Nehru moved an amendment to have the Government of India Act revised with a view to establishing a fully responsible government in India. The aim was also to summon at an early date a representative roundtable conference to recommend the scheme of a constitution for India. The amendment was carried by 76 to 48 votes. When the budget demands were discussed, Motilal Nehru asked the Assembly to refuse the grants for customs. Grants for income tax, salt and opium were also refused, a triumph for nationalism. The 1923 session of the Congress was held at Kakinada with Maulana Muhammad Ali in the chair. The Congress President asked the people to maintain peace, harmony and goodwill amongst all communities. The Congress reaffirmed its earlier resolutions on non-cooperation. Another resolution asked the people to carry out constructive work and to prepare themselves for a civil disobedience movement. On the 12th of January 1924, Gandhiji, who was at Yerawada prison in Pune, was shifted to Sassoon Hospital. He was suffering from acute appendicitis. While Colonel Maddock was operating upon him, there was a power failure. The operation was completed in the light of a hurricane lamp. On medical advice, the sentence was remitted and Gandhiji released on 4th February. At Juhu in Bombay, Motilal Nehru and Chittaranjan Das met him to sort out their differences on the question of council entry and the non-cooperation program. After the abolition of the office of the Khalifa in Turkey, the Khilafat wing of the Congress ceased to function. This led to the revival of the All India Muslim League under the presidentship of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. The Hindu Mahasabha came into being as a rival political organization under Madan Mohan Malaviya. The connivance of the British officials brought about a deterioration in Hindu-Muslim relations in several cities. Hindu and Muslim leaders made a fervent appeal from a common platform. Muhammad Ali, Mahatma Gandhi, Motilal Nehru, Madan Mohan Malviya, Shaukat Ali and Jinnah pleaded for peace and unity. Gandhiji said, "It seems as if God has been dethroned. Let us reinstate him in our hearts." When the pleas fell on deaf ears, the Mahatma undertook a 21-day fast in the house of Maulana Muhammad Ali on September 17, 1924. The fast was both a penance and a prayer. At an all-party conference, leaders of various communities pledged to work for peace. The fast was broken on the 6th of October in the presence of Motilal Nehru, C.R. Das, Maulana Azad, Muhammad Ali, Shaukat Ali and others. The 1924 session of the Congress was held at Belgaum. Gandhiji agreed to be the president of the Congress for the year, provided the party agreed to keep open its membership only to those who regularly wore khadi. Gandhiji said he was not against machinery. He was against the system which had destroyed India's cottage industries to sustain the textile mills of Lancashire. This had brought about the ruination of millions of peasants. The country must take up hand spinning and hand weaving. He approved of the Swarajya party working in the council. Gandhiji traveled to different parts of the country to propagate his constructive program. He called on Gurudev Tagore at Shantiniketan. Gandhiji began spinning for half an hour a day and advised every congressman to do the same. He established the All India Spinners Association. People took to spinning, weaving and promotion of cottage industries. The Mahatma said, "I regard spinning as a gateway to spiritual salvation. If India is really to prosper in our villages, the spinning wheel is the only instrument of its prosperity and freedom." Jawaharlal Nehru called khadi the livery of our freedom. When the Municipal Corporation of Madras presented a civic address to the Mahatma on Marina Beach, a massive crowd welcomed him. S. Satyamurthy and Srinivasa Iyengar were also present. Mahatma Gandhi's constructive program included the removal of untouchability and uplift of the oppressed classes. Madan Mohan Malviya, president of the Hindu Mahasabha, supported him. Encouraged by Gandhiji, the Congress, under the leadership of T.K. Madhavan, led a satyagraha at Vaikam in Kerala against untouchability. E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar from Tamil Nadu joined Mannat Padmanabhan and other leaders of Kerala in the movement, which was successful in removing the age-old injustice. C.R. Das died on the 26th of June 1925. Gandhiji said, "India has lost a jewel, but we must regain it by gaining Swaraj." Revolutionary activities were being revived in Bengal and other parts of the country. The Hindustan Socialist Republic Association set up its headquarters in Kanpur. The members were Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan, Bhagat Singh, Patukeshwar Dutt, Rajguru, Chandrasekhar Azad, Jatin Das, and others. In order to secure money for the freedom movement, they decided to raid a train carrying money. On the 9th of August 1925, they stopped the train at Kakori station by pulling the chain and took away the steel chest containing cash. The plot was unearthed and 29 persons were arrested. Ram Prasad Bismil, Roshan Lal, Ashfaqullah, and Rajendranath Lahiri were sentenced to death. Facing the gallows, Ram Prasad Bismil said, "I wish for the downfall of the British Empire." Ashfaqullah's last words were, "I tried to make India free, and the attempt will not end with my life." The 1925 session of the Congress at Kanpur elected Sarojini Naidu as its president, thus honoring the women of India. Mrs. Naidu said, "As a loyal daughter of Bharat Mata, it will be my task to set my house in order, to restore to India her true position as the supreme mistress in her own home." Motilal Nehru's resolution said, if by the end of February 1926, the government does not give any satisfactory reply to the demands of constitutional reforms, the party will no longer continue to work in the present legislature. M.R. Dekar seconded the motion and said that Kelkar, Monje, and he himself had already resigned. At the 1926 Guwahati Congress, the President, S. Srinivasa Iyengar, made a strong plea for communal harmony and said, "Swaraj is not an intellectual, but an emotional proposition." In February 1927, the first ever Congress of Oppressed Nationalities was held at Brussels. Jawaharlal Nehru attended the conference as India's representative. Delegates sought to launch a common program for the struggle against imperialism. On the 8th of November, the government announced the appointment of an all-British commission under Sir John Simon to inquire into the working of the government and development of representative institutions in British India. The exclusion of Indians deprived the country of its national claim to determine her own constitution. The Congress condemned the announcement and decided to boycott it. The 1927 Congress met at Madras under the presidency of Dr. M.A. Ansari. Dr. Ansari asked the different parties to sink their differences and join the Congress in the interest of the unity of India. The Congress called upon the people of India to boycott the Simon Commission during the Commission's visit to various cities. At the instance of Jawaharlal Nehru, a resolution was passed which said, "This Congress declares the goal of the Indian people to be complete national independence." Motilal Nehru sent a telegram congratulating the Congress on its resolutions on independence and boycott of the Simon Commission. The scene shifted to the Bardoli Taluka of Gujarat. Although there was no increase in crop production, the government jacked up the land assessment by 22%. The farmers pleaded that the increase in revenue was unjustified and unwarranted, as there was no increase in yield. When the government insisted on the payment of a higher land revenue, the peasants requested Gandhiji for help. He asked them to prepare themselves for a satyagraha if government remained adamant. Vallabhbhai Patel was called upon to lead the farmers of Bardoli in their fight against the arbitrary, unjust and oppressive assessment. He demanded the appointment of an impartial tribunal to examine the question of revision. The peasants of Bardoli accepted Vallabhbhai Patel's leadership and resolved not to pay the tax at all. Vallabhbhai Patel established 16 camps and put them under the charge of 250 volunteers. The peasants took a pledge to remain non-violent and suffer the consequences. To supervise the movement, Vallabhbhai Patel moved from village to village. The people called him the Sardar. The governor of Bombay had declared that he would use all the resources of the empire to crush the movement. The police let loose a reign of terror. Their hirelings raided homes and cattle. They seized the farmers' land and auctioned it at absurd prices. The Sardar asked the peasants to challenge the government to take away the land to England if they could. The farmers remained defiant. Volunteers courted arrests. 7 members of the Bombay Legislative Assembly resigned in protest. 65 Patels and 11 Talatis gave up their government jobs. Vithalbhai Patel, President of the Legislative Assembly, appealed to the Viceroy for intervention. Government gave an ultimatum that if the farmers did not pay the new assessment, they would face legal action. The peasants remained true to their pledge. They had developed their own early warning system. More volunteers came from different parts of the country to join in the Bardoli movement. The Sardar demanded the release of satyagrahis, restoration of forfeited land, and return of movable property. He said, "After this is done, if the government announces the appointment of an impartial inquiry, the campaign will be called off." The government relented. The prisoners were set free, and the property and cattle were restored to the rightful owners. Village officials were reinstated. An inquiry committee was announced. The peasants of Bardoli heaved a sigh of relief. It was a victory for a just cause, a significant step forward in our struggle for independence.
तेरा विजय सूर्य माता
first non-cooperation movement, launched after the Nagpur Congress of 1920, was the beginning of a new era in India's struggle for freedom. These extracts from a foreign newsreel clearly establish that it generated a national consciousness. Hindus and Muslims joined the Sikh Jathas. When Jawaharlal Nehru, A.T. Gidwani and K. Santanam joined the movement at Jaito in Nabha, they were arrested. After nearly 5 years of struggle, the movement succeeded. Gandhiji said, "A decisive battle has been won." At the 1922 Gaya session of the Congress, disagreements over some brought a mass upheaval never experienced before.
They haven't been given enough, and desire complete home rule right away, observe a half rule, day of mourning. All the shops are shut in some districts and no business is transacted. There are also processions, one formed by several thousand people, marches towards the suburb of Calcutta. They carry banners bearing slogans such as, "We want our own constitution."
To assess the impact of the movement, the Congress set up a civil disobedience inquiry committee under the chairmanship of Hakim Ajmal Khan, with eminent members like Motilal Nehru, C. Rajagopalachari, Dr. Ansari, Vithalbhai Patel, Kasturi Ranga Iyengar, and others. The committee stated that the non-violent non-cooperation movement had succeeded in creating a general awakening of the masses to their political rights and privileges. The people had faith in the Congress as the only organization which could direct a national effort to gain freedom. Although the non-cooperation movement had been called off, the spirit of nationalism was asserting itself. In Punjab, the Congress supported a non-violent Gurudwara movement. People of different faiths